If that did not play sound, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done with YouTube, and I'm never doing it again. Do you know how long I plan these intros for you? And there's no sound. It's the freaking computer doesn't do it at the same time. I look like an idiot dancing in the dark. Do you hear the amount of effort that's put into this? Do you know what I was doing back there? Waiting for this. And I'm back there waiting. This is embarrassing. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I look like an idiot. You know, you have to turn off all the lights. I got to set the settings to the lights here. I got to do everything. You know how long it takes to set that up and get each light to work? Whatever. Frick this. All right, guys. You really want to redo? Do you know how much effort that is? All right. This for you. You know, and I timed it and everything. Hold on. It's a lot of effort just for you. But I mean, at this point, I have to redeem myself. This is just embarrassing. I guess that remote doesn't work, huh? That's pretty embarrassing too. Okay. Let's see. We turn this off. I'm not gonna stand up. I'm just gonna let it hit the way it's supposed to. Here we go. I'm done. I'm done. I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to do it. This is not a good start. What's up, everybody? We in the stew, baby. I've been waiting to share this one with you. Thank you guys for being patient. I hope that was worth it because that was not the plan. You know, it's never mind. I'm not gonna go on a tangent here. All right. I'm not gonna be able to be serious tonight, but I'm gonna try. So, first of all, good to see every single one of you. I have some notes for you. And here's the thing. I have been looking at this from a lot of different places and angles. And I'm like, you know what? The one thing I don't like is I don't like how people will give you advice and they're not practical. So I want to start the I'm glad. You like the stash? The hookah of everything? So yeah, I got my Dateline hat on. It's a wild day today. It didn't even work. The intro didn't even work. Okay. So again, I want to start by saying you guys know I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not any of those things. What I am, though, is someone who has a doctorate in trauma, not literally, but you know what I mean, life, streets. I got it off the streets, okay, whatever you want to call it. The thing is, when I hear people talk about practical steps, the 1% better is the most realistic method you could possibly apply to your life. And so I want to go through it with you guys on my 100% made of how I have worked through this trauma. So number one thing, okay, the number one thing that you have to understand is that when you get like a trauma dump, and that's the only way I can explain what happened to me, but it happens to a lot of people. When a lot of things happen at one time, it's really, really hard to sift through it. The number one thing you have to do, though, is you have to first accept the situation. And that is where I think people automatically are running. And I'm going to say very bluntly tonight, just so we're all on the same page, but like you'll see it everywhere. People are constantly doing everything they can to escape reality. And what I mean by that is, we talked about this, vices, escapes, anything like that. Something that is causing you to literally ignore the problems. The problem is, it's like a backpack. It's not going anywhere. Okay. You're carrying that backpack and it's just the same weight. And even if it feels light or it's in the back of your mind, okay, or you're just carrying this backpack that has something in it, you're walking around with this weight on you. And trust me, if you want to curl a 2-pound dumbbell, eventually your arm's going to get tired. Okay. So no matter how much we chop it up and make it seem like it's not a big deal, the trauma exists. So let's just acknowledge that you're not doing well. That's the number one step. People think it's, oh, let's have this conversation about everything that I've ever gone through, or like just dump my whole life out. No, let's just start with, you understand I'm not doing well. And that is the first step. So acknowledging that you're having a hard time. And that has to do with, even if you just feel off, you feel like, hey, I'm just not doing well. I'm not eating the right way. I'm not sleeping well. I mean, you just start going down your list. I'm going to tell you to get something tangible to write on. There is nothing more powerful than writing things down. I just don't understand. I don't understand how to explain this. Writing something down has such a power to it. I cannot explain it. I have to organize myself now on writing. So I have a whiteboard that I write everything out on, and I have to like go through that list and compartmentalize. So I take all this crazy swirling dervish and I put it on a piece of paper. That allows me to go through and figure out how I'm feeling. So identifying the fact that you're not doing well. The second step is then, what is going on with me, right? What am I struggling in? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I doing the basics? So let's start there. Doing the basics is, am I eating enough food? Am I going outside? You guys really, I think we're really not understanding how important it is to be outside at some point. Every day, try to go outside and just take in some fresh air. And then, am I doing the little things? Am I showering? Am I doing self-care? Those things go so much further than you think. And then I'm going to add in something that I learned from the military that I think is a great, and I wasn't in the military. I was going to be in the military, but I'm just saying from the military, is to do something simple like make your bed. Do things like that. You don't understand the mental impact that it takes in a positive way. You're doing something every day. You're creating a small discipline. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but routine is your best friend when it comes to this stuff. So the practical steps are acknowledgement, and then in that acknowledgement, you start to look at your life from a zoomed out view. And you start to say, I'm going to do practical things. Number one thing is, I clean my house. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like when I clean, it helps me mentally so much. And I have little kids. You guys know that. Okay. We're talking about ketchup on the walls and yogurt smeared on the couch and concoctions I can't even tell you. Okay. Things that I didn't even know could get mixed in, and they just spread it out. But again, start with something as simple as make your bed and then find a routine, whatever that is. Have the same breakfast, go to the gym, get ready for work, listen to music, whatever you do, create routine. Because like, I don't think we're even understanding routine itself is missing in our society. Like, yeah, okay, we have times we have to be at work, whatever the case is. That's not routine though. That's like force. That's like, I have to be there, and or the consequences, I don't have a job. So to me, that's not really discipline. That's kind of like, that's just in a different category in my personal opinion. Yeah, you can choose to not. But my point is, creating self-discipline comes with you creating a routine. I'm going to tell you, I cannot express to you what physical activity will do. There's so much science behind this, and I don't want to jump into that tonight, but I have talked about this for years. Without the gym, I would be a different person. The gym is such a great outlet. And and this is what we're going to do on Alpha Mate, just so you guys all know that's what that channel's for. It's to help you guys learn how to work out, but this isn't about lifting heavy weights. Being active, going on a walk, going outside, riding a bike, swimming, I don't care what it is. If you do something, I cannot express to you the level of freedom that exercise will give you. And it doesn't have to be strenuous. You know, I always talk to people who are new to the gym, and I was a master trainer. And at that point, I think there's just this fear of like the gym environment. or lifting weights, or, thinking you have to do pull-ups and clings and deadlifts and all these crazy things. It's like, no, just move. I'm telling you, play freaking Wii Sports. It will help release tension and help you release endorphins. The best, my personal opinion is go running. It is like, there's nothing better for your body than go running. But a lot of us can't go running. I can't even go running anymore because of how much my head bangs. Like, it just hurts my head because of my meningitis, which is really unfortunate because I love running. But again, going for long walks. And then the two things kind of go together, being out in nature and then also the exercise. Unbelievable. Now I'm going to give you another one of my personal things is music. Music and media and what you're consuming. You can make that choice. Remember, we've talked about the algorithms. We've talked about this stuff. If you watch conspiracy videos on YouTube, a lot of your stuff's going to be conspiracy videos, right? TikTok, same thing. You watch a certain kind of content, your social media is going to recommend that content. The thing is, like I said, there's the problem with that is that you might unintentionally, watch a video that's sad, and the next thing you know, 40 videos later, you're in this deep sad mess, and every single one of the videos has the cry music, and you're bawling. I don't know, but this happens to me. Like, there should be times where I just scroll, and all of a sudden, it's like all these really, really sad videos. And I'm just like heartbroken for these people. So I'm going to say this, when you're in a really tough situation, and I want to go ahead and just say this is for when you were in, like, what's the word? I don't want to make it sound dramatic, but like when you're really like struggling with your own stuff, you're struggling in your life, the last thing you need to do is put someone else's stuff on you. And we'll get into that in a second, but be careful with your algorithm. Okay. Listen to good music, listen to uplifting music, listen to uplifting YouTube stuff, and just give yourself some balance. If you really love true crime or anything like that, just make sure you balance it out, because I don't think you understand how much it can change your mood. Okay. Now, the next biggest part is, I just said it. Sorry, I read someone's comment. My brain is still ADHD. Well, it's surround yourself with the right people. So this is going to be a hard one, but it's the truth. This is where your relationships in your life need to be examined. And the reason being is that if someone is making you worse, you have to make decisions on how you're going to live the rest of your life. And if you're going through a lot and they are making your life worse, I'm not saying go and cut them off. I'm not saying, ghost them and block them and go no contact or anything like that. You need to pray about those things. That's not my place to say that. But I will say is that if you have someone who is just putting you in a worse place because of how they treat you, or it's a bad relationship, you have to come to a decision on what you're going to do with that. But the people around you will affect your life. They will. Then this is all the practical stuff. It sounds like a lot of work, but really this is like, these are the little things you can do. I always see people like, well, what do I do next? This is what you do. These are the little things, you just implement them. Now, I think the next thing you have to do, I want to bring up the thing I just said, bro. Why did I blank it? It's so good. Do you guys remember what I just said? We were talking about the algorithm, and then I said something. I said we need to touch on that after. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Okay. The next thing is the simple consumption of what, like the literal water, food, all that stuff. You don't understand how it actually affects your body. So if you're eating a really poor diet and you're not drinking enough water, you are going to feel like crap. It's just the equation. It's simple math. It's 1 + 1 = 2. There's no middle ground. You cannot eat a certain way and feel good. And I can tell you this from a very, very clear standpoint. I was in pretty decent shape around the time when everything started with my family. And I got up to my heaviest ever during that whole trial and case. And I say that because I was so depressed and I was carrying tons of cortisol, but I was also eating horribly. And then I kind of also had the F it. Like I don't care. Like food became a comfort. And that was the first time, because I was actually the opposite. I would stop eating. And I had a lot of times where I would just go like, I would have no appetite So you're kind of usually one of the other one stresses in your body. And I usually feel stress in my stomach and I feel anxiety and fear in my stomach. And so therefore I have no appetite. This was the opposite though. I went like just straight to food and it was like a comfort to me. And I felt like crap every day. And I just cannot tell you how horrible I felt. It made it worse. And then I had self-confidence issues. And I was just really disappointed because I knew I wasn't healthy mentally and then or physically. And so I just felt worse and worse and worse about myself. And again, this is never to tell anybody you should feel bad about yourself because that's something I had to work through because self-worth is not in your weight or in some kind of perfect body or anything like that. But what it is that I knew where I was the fact that I was sad and that I stopped caring about myself. That is why I felt the way I felt. And it was hard. And it was like I had to climb out of this hole and I want to be healthy for my kids and I want to just be healthy in general. And I was having health issues because I gained so much weight so fast. And so that is the thing is like I want to touch on that. Whatever it is, the vices that we have in our lives. I think I tweeted this the other day, but I basically just said if the thing you're using to kill pain actually worked, you wouldn't keep going back, right? What I mean by that is simply is you don't have to keep getting the same exact surgery because once the surgery works, you don't have to go back. That's the point. These vices aren't getting you anywhere. They're just putting a band-aid on your open wound. And so therefore you're not going anywhere, but you're on a treadmill. And I hate to say that because I struggle with all this stuff. So I'm talking from straight reality of my life. This is nothing that I am saying that I don't have G14 classification in. Okay. I was watching The Office and Friends. I was watching The Office while playing Skyrim at my most depressed, at later, just listening to the show, playing Skyrim, trying to zone the frick out of my life. And, you know, I was never really exposed to drinking or anything like that because I grew up LDS and I just wasn't around it. But I'm glad I wasn't because that's something I probably would have wanted is that I would have wanted to have something that just take that immediately take my edge off. Let's go back and I want to stop real quick before I go too far and say none of these things inherently are bad. And that's the thing I hate is that these labels get slapped on these things. Like food isn't bad. Enjoying food is not bad. Or, you know, exercising is not bad. It's always the threshold of when we go from that to too much. Okay. If I rely on working out, like there was a point where I was working out 7 days a week. So that means there's zero break for your body. Your cortisol still stays high. I wasn't eating and my body was shutting down. And so mentally I also felt crappy. Now sleep. We got to talk about sleep. It is so underrated. And it's something that is so hard when you have a lot of trauma. I don't know about you guys if you've had a lot of sleep trauma, but I was having nightmares and night terrors. And night terrors and nightmares are not really in the same realm. Nightmares are horrible and vivid but night terrors is like you're literally screaming at the top of your lungs in your sleep, waking everybody else up. And you're having body, reaction. You're like your body's reacting to your terror. And so I had night terrors my whole life. And then I was having vivid nightmares. And so then I was like, well, this is how I operated for a while. And this was, I think, really dangerous. You guys know how much I love caffeine. So I was basically operating on caffeine. I would drink my pre-workout in the morning. And then I would have probably either more pre-workout or something later in the day, like just staggered. And then I would take Unisoms to go to sleep because I couldn't fall asleep. And I still struggle with that. But like going to sleep itself, like turning off is the hardest thing for me. I don't know what it is. Like just not thinking about life. Yeah, and I'm going to get into panic attacks. So I'm actually going to highlight this because this is going to be great. And I cannot wait to share what I've learned about panic attacks. Pray to God it helps you too. Because I have debilitating panic attacks. But we'll get to that in a second. So when you can't sleep, you have to figure out what's going to work. And sometimes that's just starting with, how can I just work with what I have right now? What can I do just today to get some sleep? And so that's where I think you start to look and explore in what's going to help you get yourself into a long-term goal by starting with the short term. Okay, if I know I need to sleep, then I should probably look into what would I be willing to take? Could I just drink a nighttime tea? Could I drink something at night that just helps me fall asleep or turn my brain off? Or do I need to turn my phone off 30 minutes before I go to sleep? Whatever that looks like, you need to figure it out, because prioritizing your sleep is going to change your mental health. And that is also scientific fact. You can't ignore your sleep. It affects how you think. And if you stay awake for hours on end in the night and then try to get up and start your day and keep doing that, your body is physically exhausted and then you're no longer thinking clearly. So it's definitely important. So get sleep. Now, when it comes to actually having panic attacks, I used to have the type of panic attacks where you're on the floor and you think that you're going to like pass out or die because your body is in a state of shock. Panic attacks are no joke. And I don't think people realize it until you have a real panic attack. It is like you are drowning out of water, is the best way I could explain it. It's like there's nothing like that. There's no, like, you're stuck inside yourself. Imagine being claustrophobic, but you can't get out of the thing that's making you claustrophobic because it's in your body. You're stuck. And so panic attacks are horrible and they're debilitating. Yeah, trust me, I know. And so the best way I dealt with these panic attacks, I don't know how else to tell you this other than the just straight reality. I was about to have one of the worst panic attacks of my life. I could feel it coming on. And like, I can feel the wave of fear. And I felt there's a slip moment where you feel yourself slipping into the panic attack. And that's the worst part. It's like, okay, once I get past a certain point, I'm having a panic attack and I'm out of control. Breathing is the most underrated thing in the world. Taking a deep breath and trying to focus on your breathing will help you with your panic attacks. And I don't know how else more to explain it other than what you do is you recenter your mind. And so I'll give you a perfect example. About to have the worst panic attack of my life. And I said, I don't know how, I just put my hands on my hips, and I just started to take in really deep breaths through my nose and out through my mouth. And I recentered my body. And so I think what that does, and I'm sure I've heard some different science here, but I don't want to speak off the cuff because it'd just be bro science right now. But I think it just refloods your system and it causes you to kind of slow your heart rate down just a little bit and kind of just brings you back a little bit. And so I'm telling you right now, there's different breathing techniques you can look into, whatever works for you. But I told you guys when I was at the hospital, I'm really outgrown a lot of my like fears in life. And like being claustrophobic is definitely something that I used to be like terrified. Like if you put a blankie over me and then somebody like sat on the bed, like I would be like, oh my gosh, can't breathe. Like I'd freak out, right? Well, when you go on an MRI multiple times for very long periods of time, they lock a freaking cage over your face. And you are in this thing where this cage is like, I don't know, 4 inches off your nose. And you can see it. And it's just so loud. And you go back and you're stuck in the tube and you can't move, right? That's like a claustrophobic person's worst nightmare because it's loud. And I had a few times where I was about to have like an absolute freak out because I'm like, dog, get me out of this. I'm not trying to be in here. And I could feel the panic. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's changing my mindset to breathe and then re-rationalize the situation. Meaning like this. I'm like trying to like put myself back in that position. This is how I was. I was laying there and I felt like I got to get out of here. That feeling. And that's part of panic attack. It's like, I got to get out of here. I got to breathe. Like you see people have panic attacks. They always want to go outside or something. Like you just need to flood with oxygen. And so I'm laying there. I'm like, I got to get out of this thing. And that's like, doof, 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 like super loud. And I remember just being like, I can't move. And I'm like thinking, because you have this button, you can get out of there. And I don't know how I did. I just did the same thing. 'Cause after I conquered it one time, I've been doing it ever since. Ever since I had this one, I knew it was gonna be the worst panic attack of my life. I felt it coming. My whole body was flooding. Once I realized I can stop these things, I started to breathe and I just recentered my mind and said, "Hey, you're okay." And I'm telling you right now, and that's something that's later on my list, but I'll just get to it now. Self-talk is so important. You need to advocate for yourself, even in your own mind. You've heard the term, "You're your worst enemy." We are our own worst enemies because we criticize ourselves like no one else can. No one else sees the every single move we make. And so I don't think anybody else has the ability to be a bigger villain to us than ourselves. And so one thing I learned is how to actually self-soothe. And that is so underrated. It's so underrated. One thing you guys could look into if you really struggle with like grounding yourself is EMDR therapy. That's literally what it is. First of all, you go and deal with the problems, but also EMDR has practical steps about touching your body and doing things like this tapping. And what that does is it like I said, it regrounds you. I don't know how else to explain it. Like you need to realize that it's in your head. The panic is in your head. Yes, it's in your body, but it all starts right here. So once you get into your brain and stop yourself, you'll realize how powerful you really are, even against something that feels so inevitable, like a panic attack. So what I started to do is start to be my biggest advocate in those moments and say, "You're okay. Like you're okay. You're okay." And there's something about that inner voice of being like, imagine you telling your child that's having a panic attack that they're going to be okay, and you just hold their hands or you put your hands around their face in the same way that you would love them and make sure that they're okay. You should do to yourself. You should be that for yourself, because at the end of the day, sometimes you're in situations where you are literally alone. You're again, if you're in an MRI machine, you're alone. There's nobody there to tell you you're okay. And sometimes they're playing Pandora in your earphones, and all you hear is, Lil Wayne singing Lollipop while it's popping in the back. You're by yourself, is all I'm trying to say. But there's gonna be times in your life where there's nobody there to comfort you. And this is where I always am an advocate and will say, that's where I go to God. But in these moments, even praying, I'm not gonna ever not say I'm never gonna say don't pray. But what I will say is in those moments, the first thing I'm doing is telling myself I'm okay. I mean, imagine yourself just trying to relax. Just trying to relax. That's it. The first thing you have to do is be there for yourself. Show up and then start to self-talk and say, "You're okay. It's okay." Like breathe. And then that's when you can go back to being more rational. And then there's this like crazy feeling after that where I've thought to myself, I've actually conquered this. It's crazy. That was impossible to me. I never even knew that was possible. Our possibility is to sit there and actually breathe through my panic attacks. Now, again, this is all my advice. This is all my advice. So take it for what it is. But these are things that help me. Now, I'm going to go into one thing I think is going to be really important. You need to have hobbies, and you need to have things you enjoy in your life. I think it's really easy when you are working and you're a parent and you're busy, or let's say, you get home and it's just the routine. I mean, routines can be a blessing, but they can also kind of take away your life in a sense. And so let's put it this way. You get home, you've had no time to yourself, and you're put on, your hats are changing from work to parent. And then also, maybe you're a spouse or you're whatever the case is. You have responsibilities every day that you wake up. You have something you have to do. And a lot of times it involves others, right? The thing is, you need to have that balance. And the best way to do that is just find things you enjoy, simple things that you enjoy, and give yourself time to be alone. Give yourself time to find out what that feels like. What does it feel like to be alone? And guess what? It might be terrifying at first until you realize that it's a beautiful thing. And I always tell you guys the same thing. It's so crazy because this is all throughout the New Testament. Jesus always goes off on his own. And I'm always wondering myself, why would he always leave when he has like the group of support? He has people who are like literally following him. And he's like, I got it. Go pray by myself. And I just think it's interesting because I think that solitude and that peace of going and being by yourself is so needed every day. And I'll be honest, like there's just so many times where I feel like I just need that time where I'm not working out or I'm not doing something physical, or I'm not just going to the grocery store, or I'm not just doing busy work. I don't know if I can speak for anybody here, but I have like this thing about peace where like most of the time it's usually I'm cleaning, or like I find peace in like the end result, or like, just doing chores. But like there needs to also be the opposite where it's literal rest and peace. Those are two really big factors that we're missing. And then you know what the other thing is too? Just stop being so hard on yourself. Like there's just a level of grace you have to allow yourself to have. You just have to have some grace. There's a difference between excuses and grace. Excuses are, I know I can't do anything ever. This is it. Like I give up. That's an excuse. And then there's grace. And grace is, hey, I'm just going to keep trying my best. I can only show up so much, but this is what I can give and this is what I'm going to give. But grace is a beautiful thing because it takes that pressure off of you to be, I don't know, produce, or like you think that your value is inherently in doing something, right? Like in our society, your value is literally what you do, what you produce, and then your money. And I'm not saying that those things don't have a factor, but like sometimes you just need to know the way that God sees you is you're just loved because you are. That's it. And that's a different type of peace, because then you're not trying to earn in life what is already freely given. Right? Accepting it. Accepting that part of your life is peace, meaning I need to sit sometimes and just have rest and peace and just be. Beautiful thing. What I do, you guys have seen, like when I have the green screen and I'll put on like the background, most of those have like some kind of music to it. I'll put that on the TV and just kind of sit there. And it's crazy how much time can pass where you're like, at first your brain is NASCAR. At least for me, it's just like everything I could possibly think of starts going through my mind. And then I kind of find that place where I'm like able to kind of just be present. And that's a really important, amazing thing to do. It's really important to be present. And it allows you to breathe and to recenter and to not feel like you're busy. And you need it away from your kids. You need it away from your spouse. You need it away from everybody on the world, And I think that back to that busy work thing, I think a lot of times I see a lot of men do this as well. Like they'll get home and their whole weekend is filled with projects, just wake up, mow, go fix the garage, do some kind of crazy project. And it's like, bro, you have to rest sometimes. Like that's not weak to rest. Jesus rested. God rested on the seventh day. Like, what are we talking about here? You're not weak for resting. The thing is, what you're doing when you're just doing busy work is you're ignoring more problems. Unless you're using that time while you're working on that stuff to think through stuff. But even then you still need rest. There's no way around it. And I don't care what anybody says, bro. We can get the furniture moving on this one. Take a bath. My guys need to stop being all macho. Take a freaking bath. It's so good for your body. It helps your muscles reset. Put some Epsom salt in there. Turn on some music. Turn on a little Michael Jackson action. Turn on a little Michael Bublé. I don't know how to say his name. Frick it. Relax. Take some time to physically. That's the thing. Like one thing I will give, my Uncle Adam taught me, and I always kind of stuck with this idea, is like just take care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. And the thing is, those things to me are like a circle. And so you can't necessarily really hyper focus on one thing and have it work, because that one thing it's in a circle. It's all looping. So if you're only focused on the physical and you're not working on the mental or spiritual, I think you're not complete in a sense. So you have to keep working on all of that. But rest is so important. And then time with people that you love. You need quality time with people that you love. You guys know how important I always say now, because I've lost so much precious time, is being present. I struggle with this, I think, the most. And like today, I really made an effort to just be present with my girls after my daughter got home from school. And I just kind of engaged in whatever we were doing with them, like was just solely engaged in that. And their moods changed. Like we were just having fun. And sometimes I just struggle with today's not just part of the routine. Like that is exactly how you feel until something happens. And God forbid anything happens. I'm not saying that. But things do happen and life changes in an instant. And something can change and your whole life will be changed for the rest of your life. Does that make any sense? What did I just say? Let me restart that. I said that in such a weird way. Your life can change in an instant. So you need to be present. And being present means you're taking pictures when you go to the family functions. You call people because you just want to tell them you love them. You don't need to talk about anything else. You do things like that because that keeps you in the moment. And one thing I feel like I've learned the most lately from the Bible is simply just stop worrying. And Jesus says, you can't add a single hour to your life by worrying. And so many of us, man, our whole life is worry. It's worries and doubts. And how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to get groceries? How am I going to do this? How am I going to show up? How am I going to be present when I get home? You know what I mean? Like it's just life has a billion things that can get in the way. I feel like God's just calling you to peace. And the only way to get that is to just say none of that stuff really at the end of the day is life changing. A lot of it's not. Right? And the thing is, the more you trust in God and the more you let go of your fears and worries and doubts, you surrender more of your control. And then you won't believe what happens. You just won't. There's just something amazing about realizing you're not in control. You're just not. And the more you worry about everything, let me ask you a question. And this is honestly, has worry ever got you somewhere productive? Now, I can say for me, worry has produced fire in me to do something, but the worry itself has never been truly fruitful. I could have had that thought and concern, and we need to get back to terms. We need to get back to freaking terms. We need to start redefining the words that we're saying in society, because we're kind of just mixing everything at this point. Worry and concern are not the same thing. They're just not. You can have concern and be fruitful, but being worry is the opposite of your faith. And so you can't have both. Man, telling you right now, the best thing you can do for yourself is stop worrying. And it sounds crazy because as of lately, I've been talking a lot about when Tylee and JJ were missing. And I'll never forget that time because it was indescribable how hard that was. I was so out of control. I had nothing I could do. And I had to wake up every day and exist. And I'm confused. And even to the point where Lori's in jail and I'm asking her where the hell my siblings are. And COVID's happening, and I have this little baby that I have to take care of, and I'm newly married, so I'm supposed to show up for this woman that I said I'd would take care of and be there with, and now I'm going through this feeling of like every scenario you could possibly imagine. I'll never tell you, like that's why we talk about Nancy, because when someone's missing, your brain doesn't turn off at all. There's just no switch. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You think you might have figured it out, or you might have done this. maybe I figured it out, and like your brain just doesn't turn off. So long story short, that worry did nothing. And I'm not saying that it was really something I could truly help in the time, but now that I'm older and I went through that, the way I would handle a situation like that again is start to surrender and realize that I am not in control. And it sounds crazy because it makes it sound like you don't care, but that's not true at all. You can still care and have concern, but worry just was killing me. Physically, I was just having the worst time. I don't know. I'll get into details about that another time, but I was physically going through it just as much as I was mentally and spiritually. And it was debilitating to the point where there's no quality of life, just zero quality of life. Once you get to that point, it's a lot easier to start thinking about the ultimate decisions, which is, how do I get out of this life? Where's my exit? And I'm just saying it bluntly because I think sometimes we just need to talk bluntly. The first thing is, when I'm in this much pain and there's no answers and I'm just facing hell and it just gets hotter and the furnace is getting churned up and it's just getting worse and I don't see a way out of this, it gets a lot easier to want to just check out. And that's the problem, is that temporary situation is going to dictate, let's be honest, it's going to dictate eternity, because it dictates a family tree. You're so much more important, and there's a bigger scope here than what you realize that you are. You are a part of a huge, giant family of God. And in that, like, think about it. Two people come together and create a whole tree of people, just two people. And even if you don't have kids, you still leave an impact on everyone around you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we realize how valuable we are. And I think that's, if anything, that's like the world and Satan's tools to make you feel like you're not good enough if you're not hitting the threshold. Oh, well, if you're not famous and a celebrity, you're not good enough. Or if you don't have this job, you're not good enough. Or if you don't make this much money, or if you don't look like this, forget all that. All that is noise. It's just noise in your ear. It's not fruitful. And I'm telling you all this because these are your practical steps. The way you can start to tackle these things is start with your mind. It's the most powerful thing. When you start working on those panic attacks and you get enough sleep and you drink water and you eat and you just do it. Thank you. Perfect example. I told you guys 30 seconds at a time. And somebody wrote in the comments on that short and said, then what? And I said, in my head, I'm like, I want to make sure if I respond to this, I say it the right way. Give me 30 more seconds if that's all you have. Just 30 seconds. Don't even think about it. Just say, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to keep breathing for 30 more seconds. And then I'll make a decision. And just push that 30 seconds out. Every time you get there, say, okay, I can do 30 more seconds. That's all you need. And I've been there where I genuinely had to tell myself, just go 30 more seconds. And that's when I learned, I'm breathing, and maybe I'm going to go sit outside while I just take 30 seconds. Now maybe I'll turn on some music. And the next thing you know, it's one practical step after another that gets you there. If you have not seen What About Bob, the greatest line ever is baby steps. Go watch What About Bob. It's hilarious. And it's so true. It's baby steps to everything you do, right? A baby doesn't know how to walk or run. A baby starts at a start point and develops into a person and ages up and learns and grows. We're the same freaking way. Everything you do, there's no shame in being more or less. There's no comparison. The world is trying to get you to compare where you are and where someone else is, as if we're all standing on a seesaw and our goal is to outweigh the other person. I don't know when that all started everything became a competition, but when it comes to ourselves, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. What matters is that you start to practically work on these things, and one Lego at a time builds the tower. One brick at a time builds the building. Like, you have to just start, but that's the hardest part. You have to start somewhere. That's it. Like, imagine you're the only person on the planet Earth and you have to build yourself a house. You know what you're going to do? You're going to build that house. I guarantee you. You're going to figure it out. You know why? Because you're smart and capable and you have all the tools. You'll figure out how to build it. And what if you have all the materials and you just say, okay, there's nobody else building a house. No one else is trying to build it faster than you. It's simply, okay, well, I'm going to start because I have this brick. So I'm going to lay the brick. And I'm going to figure out what it looks like to make a structure, and you go from there. But you just start somewhere. So the start is hopefully taking some of the advice I'm giving you right now, and it will help you because it helped me a lot. And these are the things that I learned along the way, and I'm still applying a lot of the new stuff that I'm learning. But I listen to a lot of other people. You know what I mean? Like I listen to people who are smarter than me and have been through a lot of other things and have a bunch of firsthand account things. Because I have my whole life of like firsthand account trauma, and then I have secondary trauma, and then I have, all the other things that I deal with on my own. The long story short is just start focusing on yourself. And if that starts with, if you're in the lowest of lows, take it 30 seconds at a time and just do simple things. Write in a journal, listen to some music, drink some water, go get your favorite dessert, go for a drive. And if you're not in a safe place to do that, then there's also other resources in this world that can help you, right? There's no shame in having a resource when you're at your lowest. That's another thing I hate, is that we need to stop being prideful when it comes down to it. Sometimes you need help, and you got to stop trying to pretend like you're Superman. You have kryptonite. You're a human being. You don't fly. You don't have lasers in your eyes, and you don't wear blue outfits with red underwear and a belt. So just be a human being. It's okay to be at your lowest and say, I can't do this. I can't handle my life right now. I need help from an outside source. And then you take it from there. But the thing is, when you're in that place and you're in fight or flight, there's no middle ground for you. You have to start somewhere. So you just have to do the compartmentalization. And that even starts with sometimes just going on a walk. That would be my first step. If I had to tell someone who was born as an adult, let's just pretend that they came out like the orc in Lord of the Rings and they're an adult. Okay. And they asked me, hey, I'm having so much anxiety. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do any of this thing in this. I would say, just go for a walk and find some peace there. Do something you enjoy. Then figure out what you like to do long term, and then find some healthy outlets. And then what you do is, I'm gonna go ahead. Let's talk. This is on my list, but let's just jump into it real quick. And I'm sorry we didn't do the call in because I know our show is almost over, but I got lost in this stuff because I just want to help you guys so much. The biggest, most practical thing is finding something that gives you fulfillment and something that helps you work through it. So creative outlets. I didn't know you were Superman over there. Superwoman. But you need to have stuff that you do that is healthy. And when it comes down to it, again, we get lost in these vices and these things that create addiction. And you're not fruitful. They're not helping you. You're not getting anywhere with that stuff. So you need some healthy outlets in your life. And then you need somebody to talk to. In my personal opinion, you need somebody to trust. And if you don't have that person in your life, I really do suggest this is where therapy. I think I would suggest therapy to anybody. I would just say, look, bro, there's a specialist in every category in life. And believe me, I was very anti-therapy. I can guarantee you I felt the way most people feel about therapy. No one would ever understand what I've been through. I'm not going to tell some random person how I feel. I'm not going to open up and just pour my heart out and then, have somebody tell me, tap my shoulders. I was like 100% against it. And then what I got out of therapy is what I put into it. Just like anything else in life. If I go to the gym and I half-ass everything in the gym, I get those results. Versus if I go to the gym and I work out hard and I eat right, I'm going to see the results of that. The problem is two things. One, people don't take the time to see results. We're too quick-minded as a society, and we want things faster than they will come. We've lost our patience because the world has sped up so fast. We are at the point where everything about, you probably don't even realize it. And once I say it, I'm sure you will. But think about the fact that everything in this world is about who does it first. Who tells you the news first? Who makes the next, the iPhone 55's coming, the newest PC, the newest this? It doesn't even give the time for the thing to exist. It doesn't give you time to exist in the moment. You didn't fall out of a coconut tree. You exist in the context. That's my favorite clip. It's so random. But you have to understand that your life around you is speed. That's like Lightning McQueen. It's just everything is the world is on coke. Just put it that way. The world's on coke, and it is trying to get you to get revved up and get you freaking just going all the time. Imagine what that's like for your brain. I sometimes think to myself, and I'm like, imagine if my life would be in biblical times, right? Let's just a context, or any time before it was all this like stuff. I'm sure even a lot of people like, who even grew up in outside of like, I would say, I don't know. If you grew up anywhere between in the 70s, 80s, I'm sure life was very different. Then the 90s kind of really took a revolution in the 2000s. And I feel like once 2010 came around, it was just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I was growing up at the same time. But it just feels like everything became about like the newest everything all the time, which means that this means nothing in a year, right? This phone is now obsolete because it's a model behind, and the newest software patch can't fit on this phone, and I need to get the new one. And so what I'm trying to say is life is inherently going faster than it should be, and it is causing people to feel the same way. And think about the fact when you scroll through your TikTok or your Instagram, how much information you're processing in 1 minute. Your brain is not wired for that, right? Then I think it can be a beautiful tool, and it can be the worst thing that ever happened to you. It's how you use it. This is what I'm trying to tell you today. How you use these things can be a tool or not a crutch, an ailment, whatever you want to call it. It can be a detrimental thing to your life, or it can be a tool to make you better. But you have to choose on how you do this stuff. This is where it calls for you to be more conscious of what you're doing and spend more time with yourself. Spend more time relaxing. Spend more time present. Whatever that looks like. You guys ever seen Date Night? I haven't seen this movie in years, but this came to me the other day. I think I've told you guys this quote. It's so funny. But Tina Fey is in this movie with Steve Carell, and her thing is, she says he's asking her if she fantasizes, because they go on the same date night every week. It's very mundane, and it's like, just dry in their relationship. And he goes, do you fantasize about being with other men? Do you want to have more excitement in your life? Do you wish you had some big buff guy? And she's like, you know what I fantasize about? She says, I fantasize about being alone in a hotel room with cold AC and a Diet Sprite and nobody around. And I swear to you that is like, what she's describing to her is a version of peace and silence, because she's got little kids. I'm telling you, that sounds great, except for my Sprite is going to be normal. Okay. Maybe a DAC. I don't drink it all, but maybe I'm throwing a DAC in there, virgin DAC. Who knows? But the thing is, those little resets in your life and your day are important, and they're part of your mental health. And so you have to start looking at your life and say, what am I going to do for myself today? And you know what? I'm just going to say this the best way I can. Sometimes you just have to show up for yourself. And there's a disappointment because maybe you have an expectation that your spouse should show up for you, or your best friend should show up for you, or your sister should show up for you, or your brother should show up for you, or whoever you look at to show up for you in a certain way. And honestly, the expectation shouldn't be on them to show up for you, but learning how to show up for yourself. And then when they show up, let's say for you later or with you or not, you don't depend on them. I think that that's where I feel it's really important to say they're tools. God is the one you should depend on. Like, dependency in that way, it should be from, this is my opinion, by the way. So you can take this for what it is. My personal opinion is the dependency that you should have is on God, but the relationships you have shouldn't be dependencies. What your relationship should be is an extension of the things that, I don't know, bring fruit together, right? Your relationship. If I get, okay, perfect example. If I put a lot of pressure on my spouse to make me happy, my spouse therefore is going to fail. I'm putting my spouse in position to fail because you are responsible for my happiness. No. Wake up. No, that's not their job. No one's job is to make you happy. No one's job is to make you feel better. That's no one's job. You have to show up for you. If you can't show up for you, then you can't show up for everybody else. And sometimes you are showing up for everybody else. You're an empty cup trying to pour, and that's why you feel worse. But you at some point in your life, you realize I have to learn how to show up for me, even if I don't like myself. And that is just really learning that that's what life was supposed. We were supposed to learn that lesson, to love ourselves, just to not be obsessed with ourselves or anything like that. Just love ourselves enough to realize that you're important and you matter. My aunt told me, she said, what would you do if your best friend was going through that? What would you do if your best friend was in a horrible position? How would you show up for your best friend? And it's like exactly that. How would you show up? Mine's always for my kids. How would I show up for my child? I'd give my child anything I could. I would do everything I could to comfort my child and love my child. But I also want my child, if God has a plan for them to learn something, I'm going to be there with them, but I'm not going to do it for them. That's what I'm trying to tell you today. If you need to walk up a mountain, you just need the support, but you don't want somebody to do it for you, because God wants you to go up that mountain. And I don't know why. I don't have that answer, but you will understand one day that mountain was there and there was a purpose. That's it. That's all I can tell you. That's all I know and believe in all of my soul, is that there's something about it that nobody can do it for you. And there's a TikTok that went viral and said, nobody's coming. Nobody's showing up. So you got to show up for yourself. And I think that those can be great, but sometimes when you're really sad, that is not helpful. Like you already feel alone. And then TikTok's like, hey, nobody's coming. Nobody's there for you. You're all alone in this. It's like, yeah, well, okay, great. Thank you. I love that. No, but it's simply true. It really is this. You have to understand showing up for yourself means doing some practical things for yourself. And sometimes that means you just go and you have a little treat. Get you a little treat. Okay? Watch a little show. Put your brain on relax mode. Take a bath. Just chill. That way you can reset, right? Turn the engine off so you can reset. And then, like I said, exactly, put the oxygen mask on it. I love that. That might be my favorite thing ever. And I never understood that, right? You're on a plane, oxygen mask drops. You're like, yeah, I'm saving my kid first. Not a thought. But if I pass out, I'm not helping my child. If I go down, nobody gets my help. So the most responsible thing is to put mine on as fast as I can and take care of others. I think Jesus taught that whole concept is you cannot pour from an empty cup. It's the best example you could ever hear, in my personal opinion. There's just absolutely nothing you can do when your cup is empty and you're trying to give to your life, give to your job, give to your spouse, give to your kids. You don't have anything to give. So take this opportunity today as a good reset to love yourself, to spend some time with yourself, to care for yourself, and just work through this slowly. Take baby steps. The most practical thing I could say is to just compartmentalize the best you can for now, and start to do what's the most immediate thing, right? Because I know that's the thing that's so crazy. Once you silence all this other stuff, you already know what it is. What's the most immediate attention? Imagine yourself like a ship that's got lights going off. What needs to be fixed first? If I'm sinking, I gotta go plug that hole up. That's what I'm going to do. So whatever that hole is, whatever that thing is, I'm going to give immediate attention to that thing. So that is what I want to share with you. If you guys ever need any more questions or anything, I don't know, just message me or something. I don't know. I want to help you guys the best I can. The life lessons that I've gone through and learned are I think are made to share. So that way you guys can have anything helpful or useful and be able to apply to your life and have some practical steps. So I love you guys, man. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I'll be back with you again this week. I'll let you know. Thank you for being so patient on this one. This one was a really important one to me. And I absolutely love seeing your guys' comments. And I'm just so grateful for our community. I love our community. But I really hope this stuff helps you. And if you know anybody you think that this will actually help, please send them this video, because I am telling you right now, all I ever wanted watching videos was some practical steps. And I really hope that it helped practically. I hope some of this stuff actually gave you some context to what you can do today to apply. That way they're started. So if you know someone's in a bad spot, you can send this video and know that they're loved. And hopefully they feel invited into our community, because that's the whole point. People can come here, be themselves, and be with you beautiful people. So love you guys, man. Appreciate you. And I'll see you guys later this week.